Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Niels, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin
Hi, hi.
and Sanswinda.
Hello.
And this week we had an update for Update 25, the Minas Morgul expansion.
Hooray!
Yes. And this includes 2 new regions, the Morgul Vale as well as Mordor Besieged. Level cap increased to 130. The new crafting guild benefits, new Black Book of Mordor quests, and of course more. Now, we've had some class changes in there. This includes the Runekeeper, which I think we've gone through just about all the stuff for the Runekeeper, I think a couple times during the testing cycle, so I'm not going to reiterate those unless someone really wants to hear them again. And on the Warden, they made several changes. I think we also discussed those last week. We're essentially increasing the damage on the Wardens and increase the length of some of the buffs that you get on the gambits that you do. And the value of and budget of main stat optimization has been improved for all classes. The ratio of outgoing healing rating to tactical mastery has been increased. This change means that players can no longer effectively cap out their outgoing healing simply by stacking tactical mastery. Virtues are now earned up to rank 65, and critical magnitude has had its cap reduced from 100% to 75%, and its rating curve is now steeper. For crafting, the time required to execute planting recipes has been reduced from 10 seconds to 3 seconds for most farm recipes. And I did have a chance to test this out. And boy, yes, it's a lot faster to farm now.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, because it was a long time. In order, waiting for that one to grow and for the next one to be ready, then the next one to be planted. Yes. So it's a lot faster now. And all players who purchase the Ultimate Fan and Collector's Edition have had carryalls delivered to them. And the carryall helps you to consolidate and organize your inventory by storing your various crafting materials inside it using only one slot of space. Because these carryalls are bound to account, sharing crafting materials amongst your characters is easier. And we spoke of that before. The collectors and ultimate editions grant a small one, and the ultimate edition granted a large one. And they're delivered once to account to the first character that you log into when Minas Morgul launched, which of course is now. I presume that if you buy the expansion, it'll be the first character you log into after putting in your code, I would presume. Now, characters may join a second crafting guild once they have reached expert level in their crafting profession. Joining the second guild, you have no effect on the progress of the original guild. And the 11th emote has been scripted to work more consistently so that food items will disappear when the emote is interrupted. As for Hobbit gifts, they overhauled the Hobbit gift system. And what do you all think about the new Hobbit gift system?
I really like the fact that you're now getting Virtue XP with the Hobbit presents.
Yes, nice
It's
that you're getting
fun to have the snazzy new effects too.
Yeah.
Like you always get something useful with the Virtue XP, even if the other thing that you get you can't use.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks pretty snazzy. And you can tell who gave it to you, which a little personalized touch there if you read it, which is kind of fun. It's not like some random hobbit like dropped it from a cloud somewhere. Like, you know who it was that gave it to you. So
yes, White O'Boffin has the low-end silver gifts, and he just loves giving you potions.
I was gonna say, maybe before hobbits were just standing in bushes and lobbing gifts at you. And now they're like coming out and like, hey, here's a gift for you.
Either that or White O'Boffin is chucking potions at everyone.
Though I noticed the potions look different. I haven't tested to see like different strengths and stuff because I didn't want to waste them. But they definitely look different and don't stack with the other potions I had, which is interesting.
That's because they're now based on a percentage. If you read the description. Yeah. It's a little disappointing that they don't stack, but I can understand why they don't stack because they're new.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it would be great if they could go back and like retroactively fix the ones I've already got taking up bag space.
Yeah. So what's interesting, I noticed that the clickies, the thing like the attack damage boost, for example, that now no, actually that I think has always been a percentage base. But the morale and power boost thing that you can click,
the rejuvenation one?
The one that used to give you 150 morale or something like that when you clicked on it. So it was pretty much virtually useless. And now it's, I think, 5%.
Oh, nice.
Oh. Maybe I haven't tried that one. The rejuvenation potion seems to be giving me less help than it used to, which I'm sad about.
And what's good is that those things were retroactive. So I still have a stack of those things because I wasn't using them, and it's like, okay, fine, use it. I can use another 5% morale. Yeah, so a nice overhauling of that system. And as for items that grant war steed appearances can now be consumed while mounted. The Flame of Ankalmir can now be used while mounted. War steed appearances, a grand accessory once again has its proper appearance on a war steed pony instead of looking like a basket of sunflowers. A new housing item called the Training Dummy Stand is now available for barter from the curator when the curator is available. I don't know, is the curator available or is that something
not right now, but hopefully soon. Yeah,
so we can all get training dummy stands.
More hobby horses.
More hobby horses, yes. All embers and motes of enchantment and all figments of splendor have had their total wallet cap set to 10,000 if their total exceeded 10,000 already. And armor value bonus scaling on the Shield of the Hammerhand has been increased so the total armor value are more appropriate. Physical mastery has been adjusted on the finely woven standard of the veteran captain. Bjornings will now receive heavy armor with the Gift of the Valor, Blessing of the Valor, and Aria of the Valor. And universal potions, food scrolls, and max morale and power in the LOTRO store now buff restore morale and power based on the percentage of their max values. Correct Inara visuals on the weapons that were incorrect either by scale or position. This does not correct visuals for auras that were not visible or which were only partially visible. A Dust Shrouded Adventures Essence box has been added to the Adventures Quartermaster. Whatever. When replacing an imbued legacy with another legacy, you now carry over the greater percentage of the earned item advancement experience and legendary. Yes, yeah. Legendary item legacy tiers have had their base legacy increased from 63 to 67. Other legacies have been increased from 79 to 83. And some older armor sets with a large amount of essences slots have had their maximum equip level set to level 120. And critters summoned from the following housing decoration are now performed the correct emotes when they're not moving. Nanu's hiding place, hedgehog burrow, and badger house. Nanu's movement has also been slowed down slightly, probably because Nanu is a turtle. And player characters in the Entmore's and PvP Osgiliath can now use cosmetic outfits. And as for quests and adventure areas, the new Minas Morgul instances are only available at Tier 1 for launch. Tiers 2 and 3 will be available soon. Cyan difficulty tiers 4 and 5 for the Dwarf Hold instances and Kizukla are unavailable while the new instance cluster is being introduced. Cyan difficulty tiers will be available again on selected instances in the future. Fix the door in the Lore Master's specific chamber in the presence of Saruman. The boss in instance, a venomous strike, will now summon at the correct time. Adjusted the requirements to unlock Volume 2, Book 3, and Volume 2, Book 8 movies in the movie library. Various areas have had minor stuck points, dead spots, and physics issues fixed. Mistrustful dwarf folk in Erebor, forging trust, are now denoted by a blue quest ring to improve their visibility. Players must now discover the inner Karaskalatin Stable Master before they can travel there using the Stable Master Collections panel. And the Black Book of Mordor, characters that have completed Shades in the Swamp can pick up the next chapter of the Black Book of Mordor from Gandalf in the Beorninghus. Whew! Staudax's Enmity of the Cultists now awards the Needful Ingenuity trait, and Staudax's Enmity of the Cultists 2 now awards the Nimble-Handed trait, and now properly bestows when you complete Enmity of the Cultists Tier 1. And as for new UI settings, induction bar display, when checked, the induction progress bar will be shown above the character or pet pending in action. This preference is only available when floating names preference is on, which means it's not going to apply to me. And fix an issue where the disenchantment examination tooltips would sometimes be clipped along the right edge. Also, fix a crash that could cause a crash to start up on machines with more than 32 logical processors, such as AMD Threadripper 2970WX and 2990WX. And you can now earn up to 94 class trait points after completing the Black Book of Mordor. Up to 94 class trait points can be spent in your class trait trees, and the game credits have been updated. And there is quite a list of known issues, though. Some text in French and German has not yet been translated, and there are some missing line breaks in the German text. The following Grey Mountains and Gladimir instances are temporarily only available through Tier 2, meaning only in Tier 1 and Tier 2, and those are the Depths of Kizukala, Glimmerdeep, the Caverns of Throomfall, and Thickelgundu, the Steel Keep. Legendary weapons provided to Beorning, Loremaster, and Runekeeper characters from the Aria of the Valor 120 package, and class items provided to the Beorning are identifying with incorrect stats. This will be corrected in the next game update. Oh, that might explain why my staff has might on it on my Loremaster. And the crafting carry-all does not notify players when they hit the maximum amount of stacks. Attempting to change crafting vocations will display a text box with a screen table error. This box should say, "Warning, you will lose all recipes and crafting experience for the following professions. Insert previous professions here. Are you sure?" And instances either War the Filth Well, the instance Finder Launch button incorrectly says that you need to discover Glimmerdeep to play this encounter. You actually need to have completed Discovery War the Filth Well to play the instance. I guess that makes a lot of sense. And instances War Guarandel can be difficult to target due to some skills that cause him to position himself on top of you.
That seems problematic.
Yeah. Instances Gaz Daraval failing the egg challenge results in the challenge being incompletable on immediate entry. Legendary items, when opening a pre-made legendary item box, occasionally the LI will not appear to have stats. This will display if you log your character out and then back in. And quest crafting, new Minas Morgul Crafting Guild quests take all the required crafting items instead of just the required amount. Okay, so that means you better be careful on what you have in your inventory when you turn in one of those quests.
Apparently.
Yeah, I've got 1,000 of these. What happened to them? Oh, I turned in the quest. Yes. Yes. In quest, turning defectors, some Easterlings are not behaving as they should. And quest, wanted, deep lichen, smooth stones, NPC Torodon incorrectly states which items drop in which instances. They should be Gath Darvals, shadow roots, crafter steel, and worn trinkets. And Gorthodnor, the deep barrel, deep lichen, and smooth stones. Whew! And they are planning to have a patch out early next week that they're hoping will address many of these known issues. And on top of that, they're also hoping to include some updates relating to the Warden, where what they're doing with the Warden for next week is that all Warden damage over time abilities have had their pulse count increased by 2. All Warden heal over time abilities will have their pulse count increased by 1. And all Warden item set bonuses that affect damage over time and healing over time have had their pulses reduced 2 plus 1. And that's pretty much by demand from the Wardens, who are saying that the Wardens need more pulses, and that too many Wardens are just still using throne armor because of those pulses. So they decided to increase the pulses and reduce how much armor is giving it. And that, of course, is going to be we're thinking it's going to be in next week's update. We'll find that out if that update happens. I'm sure we'll report it at our next episode. Now, they also have a Valar 120 package dev diary, and apparently, based on their wording here, it looks like that the original, because they were using the working name of Soliloquy of the Valar, but it looks like that they are not using that name after all, because they're calling it the Aria level 120, or Valor level boost 120 seems to be their official name that they're using for it. And this is the dev diary where they talk about what it contains.
Well, that's what the item is actually called when you get it, is Valor Level Boost Package 120.
Oh, right. Yes. And that includes a level boost to level 120. I know that's a big shock. Let's see, that we have the trait points, 90 class trait points, virtue XP to get you enough so that you have your virtues up to level, you get all your virtues up to level 60 through using this. And yes, my lore master
you can take
now.
5 of your virtues to level 60.
Yeah. When I meant all of it, I meant
Not
all your
all
equipped
of them.
ones. Yeah, I meant all of your equipped virtues, I guess I should say, because those are the most likely 5 that you're going to choose are the ones you're planning on equipping, I would think.
In theory. Not always.
Okay, maybe not always. But at least that's what I did with my lore master. Let's see. And you get 4 maps: Rivendell, Sucross, Eastfold, and the Waste. These are mostly for those who wanted to run back and get a vocation started or wanted to go back to do one of the things in that area. And they also gave you some adventuring items. 25 Dale Man's Crams. I know, yippity-doo.
Yeah, I mean, well, we found a use for those crayons.
And they seem to change what the abilities on the crayons are. I forgot exactly what they changed it to, but they seem to be slightly different than what they were before. 10 minor morale potions, and 10 minor power potions, 25 mithril coins, 5 piles of silver scraps, and universal toolkit. And as for gear, you can, of course, get this big packet of level 120 armor. And you also get imbued legendary items and 3 imbued legendary replacement scrolls. So that if you had a particular one, a scroll that you wanted, a particular legacy that you wanted instead of the ones that you got, then you could do that. But note that they had 3 different versions which you could choose from. You could choose one based on your trait tree that you're using, your primary trait tree. So they have a version for each of those. And let's see what else. And with the imbuement system now in place, many players will want a reasonable imbued legacy weapon to complete this content, and therefore they gave us a pretty good first ager in order to start out with. And when I did my lore master and brought my lore master up to 120, and first I of course wanted to go and get some bag space, so I tried to run to Hoofist since I didn't have a.
You didn't use one of the 25 mithril they gave you, Pine?
I forgot that I had forgotten that they gave you 25 mithril at that point. So I went, and anyway, I was at Bjorninghus at the time. Oh, that's right, because it ports you Bjorninghus when you do the Valor, yes.
Right, and they don't have a Forge Master or a Relic Master there.
Right, and I wanted to go to the Forge Master, Relic Master, and also I wanted to visit a vault, I believe, and I think is that the reason why I went there? Anyway, I went to Hootfist for some reason, and along the way I was jumped by a mob, and I was being mauled and ripped apart. I said, well, like, I'm level 120. I said, then I got there. I said, oh, yes, that's right, because because the reason why I was there was to, of course, I wanted to have a good place to empty out my backspace by getting vault space and all that fun stuff and get everything set up that way before I could open up the equipment. So I still had this level 105 gear and my old weapon and all that stuff. So of course I was being ripped apart by the mob, but I did eventually get there by running. And as soon as I got all that equipment on me and went out into the world, that I was getting revenge on the mobs. Yeah.
Isn't
I was
it
ripping
fun?
them apart.
Like, you Valar, and once you put on the gear, you're actually strong enough to go fight the mobs that are your level.
Yes.
I was like,
that was
yes! Great. This is awesome.
Yeah, I was able to do that. And I learned just how powerful Lightning Storm can be. Boom! And this is under Blue Line.
Now, Pineleaf, did you have your pet out while you were running away from mobs on your way to Holdfist?
Well, no, I had forgotten to bring out the pet when I was doing that. And I do admit, I did have the pet when I was doing the later stuff where I was ripping through things. So I'm sure that also helped a little bit.
The pet does help a little bit, yeah. Helps keep the aggro off of you anyway a little bit. And helps things die fast.
Yes. And you also got a war steed. And of course, if you were given your war steed skills and your riding skills and all that fun stuff. Though, of course, I already had that on that particular character, but I presume that if you are level 10 and you're using one of these items in there, yeah, I think the war steed skill, not having to go back to Rohan to get it.
Very helpful for a low level Ariad character.
Yes, and also the steed of the Citadel. So that they give you a steed that you could use if you don't have any others. And that's what's in there.
Yeah, because
I was actually really
not,
impressed by how many shinies were in this package.
it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, it is exactly what I would call a cheap package. So yes, but
no,
so they have
but I
some
think
nice
it was
shinies.
pretty worth it. Like,
yeah,
you're not gonna have to go back and get all your trait points. You're not gonna have to go back and spend 42 days in Minas Tirith before you can go hit something and have it do enough damage to not die while you're killing it. Like, they did a really good job with this.
Yeah, which is making me wonder, because I was thinking of doing a 105 Aria on my Stout Axe. I was starting to go in there because my Stout Axe, see if I Aria 105, because the Aria 105 still has some rather dreadful stuff to it. So it's like, okay.
Right?
So I'm wondering, all right, what am I going to have to do relating to that? So I still have to decide what I want to do, but I do want to get my Stout Axe to 105 so I could experience Mordor with a Stout Axe, which is the main reason I was thinking on that. Something to think about. Probably wait till save that decision until after I do Minas Morgul. And we have a beacon. Anything you want to talk about the update before I head to the beacon?
No, I really love the Arya.
I know you love those things. Then we'll head into the LOTRO Beacon issue 136, which has the Minas Morgul update on the front with, looks like Sauron on the left, and I wonder who's that's on the right. Is that our friend Gothmog, I wonder? I guess we'll find that out. In the community spotlight, Team Standing Stone Games has raised money for Movember, and you click on the link to help with men's health issues. And Paul Nolini presents a mystical rock concert called The Lonely Bird this Saturday at Laurelin. Oh, actually, that would have been today. Never mind. But the Fluffy Unicorns will perform a monthly themed concert this Sunday on Langeable, so that you'd have to be listening to the live show in order to take advantage of that. And we have Hellfest, the metal. Hellfest brings the metal to Sirana next week, and Winterfest hits Crick Hollow in mid-December. All bands can sign up now. Northern Pride performs a Halloween concert recently on Evernight. And attention Lua skin makers and users, Solarian has updated the official skinning pack and Lua documentation for update 25. Right. Apparently people were discussing what they got for their LIs on the chat. All right, and let's go and look into the Kin Hall. There and back again is a kinship that recently celebrated their first anniversary on Honor with hide and seek, music, a cosmetic competition, and more. Congratulations to this R10 kinship with more than 1,400 members. That's a large kinship. How do you keep track of a 1,400 member kinship?
Very carefully.
Yes. And is that 1,400 players or 1,400 characters?
Good question.
Let's head into this week's weekly comment. Minas Morgul takes you to an expedition deep into the Morgul Vale in search of answers to a mystery that spans 3,000 years. What is another mystery spanning 3,000 years?
I have no
idea.
What I
was dreaming about while I was sleeping.
What?
Your high elf?
My high elf was knocked out for 3,000 years. Surely she had some dreams.
Whoa, yeah. Oh, you want to know what you were dreaming during those 3,000 years of sleep?
Right. Like, did I have really just peaceful sleep and I remember nothing? Like, I can't imagine not dreaming for 3,000 years while sleeping.
Well, there is that.
Maybe I learned some really important knowledge while I was sleeping, and now I have no recollection of it.
No, look, when you get back up there, you forgot. You're something level 5. That tells you how much you've forgotten.
I know, but surely I learned something interesting.
All right. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what other mystery spans 3,000 years. I'm trying to think.
How often did Elrond leave his library to check on the High Elf?
Well, we don't know exactly how close to the library we were either.
That's true. We could have just been next door. I think I'm going to go stretch my legs for a second if no adventurers are coming right this moment over my railing.
Well, no, they didn't start coming until later.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, he had 2,900 years in which to do lots of stuff before.
Before being stuck in his library.
Right. Let's head into our fan site news. And of course, we reviewed Update 24 last time. And LOTRO Stream is your home to find LOTRO streamers. Check out the recent shows by the Dwarven Scholar, Roxy, and Red Baron. And YouTube is also busy with video makers playing LOTRO. And here are some recent videos by Zogog, Caleb, and Blessed Warrior. And MJ from Massively OP runs the Harvest Math Festival. And Squirrel has some pointers to get you started in Minas Morgul. And of course, Minas Morgul launched in Update 25. We all already talked about all that is going on in there. And also, Cordovan checked out a very cool haunted house this week during his Court of the Rings. Or actually, that would have, of course, been not the most recent Friday, but the Friday before that, where he went into a haunted house where the theme is you had to find 13 store boots within the haunted house. And whoever put that up did a wonderful job in hiding them because some of those were very, very hard to find. And of course, Cordovan had to give them an award for the haunted house that they did. As for our screenshot of the week, Thorhindil from Ithil sent this screenshot, which looks like a great way to start the day. Thanks for sending it in.
Terrible way to start the day. It's in Lothlorien. It's full of elves.
Yeah, but it's so much brighter than Moria.
Well, yeah. Brighter than Moria, brighter than Mirkwood, and brighter than Mordor.
And the trees are all golden.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them are golden.
Unfortunately,
but the
it's full of elves.
Yeah, I know that you're not exactly fond of them.
It's not full of bears, though.
No, but the Lothlorien elves are particularly annoying.
Oh, okay.
Like on a scale of elf to elf to elf, the Lothlorien ones are probably the most annoying ones in the game.
Ooh.
They literally stand around and do nothing. They just expect you to not even really worry about their problems, just listen to them complain about it. Or they'll only talk to you in Elvish, which is even more annoying. So you have no idea what they're saying.
Well, yeah, there are there are a number of them who do not know the Westron language.
No excuse for that. They've had more time to learn it than I have, and I learned it just fine.
Well, yes, but it's always easier to learn a language when you're young. Let's tend to our store sales. And Terry, what's on sale this week? Anything good?
It's not bad. We got 20% off character slots, select veterans status items, and I'm not sure what that means, select veteran status items, because there's literally only one in the store that's veteran status, unless they're counting some of the Valor items as veteran status.
No,
stat packages, XP boosts, now through November 14th, and then the weekly coupon gets you a free item vault services 6 hours. The coupon code Banker Please, BANKERPLZ, Banker Please, now through November 14th, which is great. I love that.
Yes. Sans, have you done yours yet?
No, I still haven't decided which character.
I'm really tempted to do it on Foriadoc because he's the one who's stuck in the Bjorning Hoos right now.
Oh, that'd be fun.
This is the final weekend for Harvest Math, so make sure you get that in through November 11th because it's 2 days away from going away. And then our crafting XP bonus is on this weekend. Blah. And apparently there's a 10% Embers and most boost to loot boxes also this weekend, which I don't care about because I don't get loot boxes. But for those people that like loot boxes, open them today or tomorrow. And then save them for the next one, which is probably going to be like the second week of December.
Now, let's head to the site news. And we have another Where is Middle-earth is Emeraldina, number 28.
The Pine Leaf Edition.
The Pine Leaf Edition.
The Pine Leaf Edition. So I'm not allowed to guess for this one.
Oh, see, I would have thought that the Pine Leaf Edition was special.
So now is the extra challenge to guess which one is actually Emeraldina?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Maybe?
Easy peasy.
So we should let everybody else guess too.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I actually can definitely tell which one is Emeraldina because hobbits.
I'm pretty sure I can tell too. But
hobbits have very specific body shapes, and only one of those hobbits is female.
Yeah. Well, you do have a point there.
The other one is definitely male.
It would have been better if I were doing this with pine leaf instead of pine sap, I guess.
So it's not pine leaf proper in the picture.
Yeah, it's actually pine sap, my burglar.
Okay.
And we have Squirrel, who did an article on Minas Morgul launches with some pointers. Actually, we called that out during the beacon already, so he goes through some of the little tips of the trade on what you should do. For example, make sure you have your log-on priorities for the Valor carry-on. And a little note on here is that this was not known at the time he wrote this article, but when you log in, if you log in first to a legendary server, it will deliver the carry-alls, but it will not deliver the Valor package, which is fortunate since the Valor package would be completely useless on a legendary server.
Right.
So if you want the carry-all on your legendary server, you can get it there by logging in there first, then logging into a non-legendary server in order to deliver your Valor package. And in fact, that was something that was found by accident by the devs as they were checking some stuff out, because originally they were thinking it was going to render the Valor in a useless location. So it's good that they managed to do that. and then he talks about all sorts of things that are in there. So you could check that out. And of course, on PvP, he says, at launch, creeps are a mess, nothing to sugarcoat. Baston has already stated that he has been working on an update to it, but you can look pretty with cosmetic outfits.
We did a pass on cosmetic outfits in the Moors before, and I hadn't thought about it at the time. But, creeps have access to cosmetics in the Moors. So it's only really fitting that creeps get access to cosmetics in the Moors. Because your warg, my warg has different skins.
I like the cosmetics my warg has, but more choices would be even cooler.
More choices would be awesome. It's funny though, because my original warg cosmetic was that tiger stripe skin, and some of the wargs that I've been seeing in Rohan have that skin. Pelt, I suppose.
Okay. Now let's head into the new player question. What's the question this week?
Okay, so the question this week is, say you're out running with an NPC you're escorting, or you're in an instance with an NPC that you have to keep alive. How can you tell when it's a good idea to let an NPC tank something, and when you need to make sure they do not tank it in order to succeed in the instance? Or quest?
Yeah. I will assume that you mean except for the obvious cases, such as whether your NPC has huge amounts of
okay, so I'm
morale
saying,
or almost
obviously
none.
you don't let the NPCs tank like Lalia, who stand there and cry and do nothing, unless you want them to die. And if you want Lalia to die, you let her tank, because she'll just stand there and cry until she dies.
You just let her go and then walk away from her.
Well, that's
how I usually get Lalia to die.
But if you have an NPC that you are actually trying to keep alive, and the NPC insists on trying to fight, how do you tell if you should let the NPC tank or if you should intervene?
I always go by the morale pool. If they've got a huge amount of morale, then yeah, you do the tanking, and I'll go around behind you and stab at things.
Yeah, that is always tricky, because I remember when I first got a warden, trying to decide how much to allow the NPCs to tank was always the challenge. Is, if I remember correctly, the first time I did the instance, I think the first time I did it, I think the NPC died. The second time I did it, I decided, okay, I better tank everything, and then I died. So I had to find what the fine-tuned balance was. I had to let the NPC tank a little bit, and I had to make sure that I did some tanking also. So it was a juggling act for that particular one.
Yeah, it's kind of trial and error, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
depends on how squishy your character is,
get it wrong the first time. Like, my stout axe trying to get out of the intro. Totally got that one wrong.
Yeah.
Died before level 5. Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, I was on Bull Roar when I made that mistake.
So was I, fortunately. So my live stout axe made it all the way to level 7 before I died coming down from Durin's Day celebrations. But okay, so trial and error, look at morale pools, maybe kind of see how the battle's going and adjust as needed.
And depending on your class also might make a difference.
And how squishy you are. Okay, so like my very squishy Runekeeper would probably always let the NPC tank, because she can at least heal the NPC a little bit if needed.
Yeah, you throw down... Actually, what you do is you throw down your stone and let the stone tank.
Let the stone tank if the NPC can't take it. Yeah, that makes sense.
And they get healed, and the NPC gets healed at the same time.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, so, there is unfortunately no obvious answer that I know. Let's see. Mary Rose says, I play a squishy RK who failed that instance 3 times. They stayed back to not aggro, and Sarah took care of all the mobs.
Oh yeah, that Angmar instance.
Angmar epic instance.
Where Sarah Oakheart can apparently tank and slowly kill all the spirits on her own. That is awesome. Noted for future reference. Thank you, Mary Rose.
The only time when Sarah Oakart is useful?
It might be.
Well, I mean, she's got to keep you alive so she can kill you herself.
Oh, yes, that's right. She does. That is the instance where she kills you at the end.
That is the instance where you get incapacitated at the end, yes. So she's got to keep you alive so that she can just deal with you on her own.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Sam agrees. She's only tough in that instance, unfortunately. Yes. And that concludes our question, unless anybody else has something to add. So let's into our weekend LOTRO. And Terry Edwin, what did you do?
Well, patched the game. Yay! Hey, that was very exciting. That was my Tuesday. I patched the game on 2 computers. And then we got together on Thursday to do our group stuff, and I was so excited that we were finally going to leave Grimbjorn behind and say goodbye to the elves and go into Minas Morgul, and that's not actually what happened. But we did say goodbye to Grimbjorn. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be back to his house. Never really got to stay there, but sayonara. Did not get to leave the elves behind because Gandalf thought that bringing them along was a fantastic idea. Glorfindel remains my favorite NPC because he said one of the smartest things that I've ever heard an NPC say in the game. And I was super happy that he said it. I was cheering him on the whole time because, normally I talk back to the NPCs, and this one I was like, yay! Go Glorfindel! It's exactly right.
I'm trying to remember what he said there, but
he advised caution.
Oh yes, advised caution.
Yes. I'm pretty sure this is not going to end the way Gandalf thinks it's going to end. And I was like, yes, thank you. Somebody agrees with me. Yeah, it was awesome. And then we ended up time traveling and discovered a new version of an old quest, which I guess it's an old version of a new quest. Because it's 3,000 years in the past, so how exactly do you... Anyway, so there's a quest that we talked about when we did our update, whatever Mordor was, 22 review. There's a quest in Dingarth. Right. In present-day Mordor, there's a quest in Dingarth, where, and I apologize for spoilers, but, it's been out for, 2 years now, so not really spoilery. The Mordor version of this quest is... the supply lines have been not great from Gondor to the people who are at Dingarth, and they're concerned about their provisions, and they ask you to go hunt quote game animals in Mordor, and you're like, yeah, this is really a bad idea because the quote game animals in Mordor are the Sulokil, who really don't look like you should eat them, and the demon goats that you definitely should not eat because they're nameless evil.
Well, eating nameless evil for breakfast is apparently a fad in Mordor.
So you do that, and then you not only do you do that, but then they want you to barbecue this meat in the flaming coals left over from the erupted Mount Doom, and then pack it away in the box so they have these provisions. And the whole time we're doing this quest, I'm going, this is a bad idea. Just, and we're packing it in the box. I'm like, guys, just don't eat that. Just, go throw yourselves in the flaming lava before you eat this, because this is not going to end well. Yeah, you go to 3,000 years in the past, and they basically ask you to do the same thing, except you don't barbecue it in flaming coals because Mount Doom is still intact at that point. But I still don't think it's a really great idea to hunt game animals in Mordor. I'm pretty sure you should not eat anything. It's like going to the underworld. Don't eat anything. They'll make you stay there. Just don't do it. Starve first. Find some flaming lava to throw yourself in. I don't. Yes, so that happened. That was a thing that happened. And presumably we're not actually going to find out whether that was a bad thing or not, because it was 3,000 years in the past, and Dingarth is in pretty good condition 3,000 years in the past, and there's really nothing of it left in the present day Mordor. So whatever provisions we got for those people, it's a toss-up as to whether they ate them or not before they either died or disappeared or killed Sauron. I don't know, one guess is as good as another. And then I Valard Foriadoc, the Guardian, who is now taking up space in Grimbjorn's house, because I have not played my Guardian. Well, I got him to level 51, so my rule of thumb has been don't Valor a character unless you've played it to like level 50, so you have a general idea of how you play the class. So he is level 51. He's the only Guardian I've got, and I Valored him, and I looked at his stuff, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll come back to this later, and I might come back to it eventually. It's only he's only my third or fourth Valard character that I'm just gonna kind of let languish. So just add him to the pile. I really liked all of the shinies that came with the Valor package, though. The armor was cool. I didn't realize that it was a thing, that it was a known issue that the imbued weapons didn't have any stats, and I thought it was just me. So I'm like, I'll come back to that later. So maybe when I come back to that, they'll actually have stats. Oh. And I didn't do anything with his virtues either, because I know nada about what kind of virtues a Guardian should have. So that's also in the come back to it later pile. So I've plenty of other work to do on other characters. So yeah. And then I was really super tempted to go take Cariadwin all by herself, because I was kind of like really wanting to get into new stuff and not wanting to wait, because we had to wait till Thursday, because that was when we could do the group stuff together. So to avoid actually doing that, I went back to my burglar in Rohan. And I still really love being a burglar in Rohan. Like, I've done so much Rohan. She's currently capped again, because I've got the Tortoise Stone in her pocket at level 95. So she's finishing up Rohan at what level cap was when Rohan was level cap. At level 95. And so much Rohan. Almost done with Rohan, actually. She's so close to the epic battles, which I'm not looking forward to at all on the burglar. Well, I never look forward to epic battles on any character, really. Especially not the Helm's Deep ones, because it's just, can we get a skip, please? But you can't get a skip, please. So, she's going to have to do them. Kind of wondering if I could make it through the epic battles by staying in stealth the whole time. Like, that's the thing I really want to try. I might actually try it with Helmsdyke, just see if I can just hang out by, what's-his-face, in stealth for the entirety of the battle. Like, start the battle and talk to the guy and go into stealth and just walk away for half an hour and come back and see how that went. I might have to do that actually when she gets to that point, because if I actually manage to do that would be hilarious. But I really love being a burglar in Rohan, because so I got to the Westfold and got to the town of Martin, and then you go find the refugees at Martin, and then they ask you to go scout ways for them to get to Helm's Deep, and one of the ways takes you into Camp Full of Trolls. Well, I'm in stealth, so I can take on a troll. I did not realize that the quest to take on trolls was actually a fellowship quest. And they tell you, like, in the quest text, when you actually take the quest, which doesn't pop up, by the way, until after you've killed the first troll. They tell you this quest is meant to be challenging. Yeah, that troll lasted about 3 seconds and 4 stabs. So when I say I really love being a Rohan, because it is really immensely satisfying to pop out of stealth and stab a troll a few times and have it fall over dead. Like, that is really awesome. And then she also wore her Great Saboteur title for a little while today, because she was sabotaging siege weaponry that was sent down from Isengard, like loosening wheels and taking pins out of things, and generally causing trouble all over the place, which is exactly the kind of thing that the burglar is pretty much made for. And then she kind of ripped apart a bunch of trolls in the process. I think I think it was about 20 more trolls on the troll deed, which was really awesome because trolls are not for the faint of heart, really. I'm reasonably sure that my Runekeeper would have gone splat. And no, burglar, about 4 seconds per troll. It's pretty great. So yeah, I had a pretty good week. Sans Winda, how about you?
I had a good week. It started with some shenaniganry with the girls of Middle Earth. We made some in-league and Ale Association deliveries, and then we discovered that Farrar did not actually have any standing at all with the in-league and had not done the introduction, and so had no idea what we were talking about with 2 quests. And so we took Farrar drinking through the Shire, and ended up just porting Farrar to all the different places by Acorn, which was fun, and great use of our teamwork skills that were in rare form that day. And then we took on the roving threats of the North Downs and made them pay for what they had done to Sans Winda on Arkenstone earlier that week. Or, 2 days before that. I mean, yeah, they were on a different server, they had no idea of the connection, but yeah, we thoroughly trounced them, so that was fun. And then I ventured into the Second Age, and that was fun, but I decided I'd run another round of Minas Tirith dailies just to make sure I could get my weapons topped off. Because I really appreciated that I need a ton of scrolls to finish topping them off this time. I was like, okay, I'll just run the Minas Tirith dailies, this will be fine. And I'm running along, picking up hooks on the North Ramus, and suddenly I epically fall through the wall. And so, I'm now in the space under the wall, with the wall on either side of me going, how do you get out of here? Well, that's, oh, look, there's a Suhalar falling down on top of me, and, oh, the Suhalar just disappeared back up. I wonder if players can, just disappear back up. Is there, some secret ramp down here? No, there was no secret ramp. I left instance and restarted it, and was like, okay, maybe it was just a fluke. I hit a bad spot in the wall, so I watched, and, where I saw the Suhalar fall down, I was like, okay, I'm not going in that place. So I, tried to jump over it, and I still fell through into the wall again, so I was like, yep, done with that part of it. Finished the rest of it without any problem, but that was a moment of excitement in my Minas Tirith dailies that hopefully will not recur, after the patch. I saw that they were planning to hopefully fix it on Chord Stream. But, yeah, that was a bit of heart-stopping moment there. Wait, what just happened? Did I fall off the wall? No, I fell into the wall. How did I fall into the wall? So, yeah, Sans Winda has now seen a new part of the North Ramus that she never expected to see. So, and I got the Maze Master title with some help from Gwyrindis, and Vallard Wardens with Cinders. And they went from 30 to 120, and we had to break into Moria. We figured we were high elves, we'd been around since before Moria was all closed up and full of orcs and stuff, and if the orcs can break in, surely we can get back in. I mean, the dwarves are getting in, so we totally broke into Moria after, we bought we went to the skirmish camp and we got enough rep so that we could get our muster there, but you have to actually go there to get your muster there. So, yeah, we totally broke in. I broke in from Dol Amroth, and she broke in from Minas Tirith, and we left them in the 21st hall where they should not actually be. So, that was my week. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right, we'll begin with my main warden, who went back in time and witnessed the final days of the Great Alliance. So I did Book 11 then. I just completed Book 11 just before this show went on, and whee! That's all I gotta say on that one. That was quite an interesting take on the final days of the Second Age. And on Honor, my warden quested in the Eisendale. And for Friday Night Fight, we ran Attack at Dawn, The Bells of Dale, and the Battle of the Deep Way. And the wardens in our group were very sad to learn that lieutenants in full fellowship skirmishes, they've always been immune to regular stuns, but now they've just become immune also to ambushes because they could still be ambushed by wardens in there, but not any longer. Now, if you ambush a lieutenant in a 6-player skirmish, you will get the message immune. We currently have 16 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or E&B guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, LOTRO Players @LOTRO Players, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Sandwinda @Sandwinda, and Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin. And each week we have 2 shows. On Mondays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. And you can join our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.